welcome to Unclouded Eye. I'm Ashley Brooks.
And I'm Ty Gowan.
And we are your source for the weekly astrological forecast and
some cosmic chit chat.
Oh, yeah.
Which is going to be different this episode, you told me.
Yes, this is a wacky episode. We are turning it upside down just to try it.
I'm excited to see what you have. You told me don't find a story, which is less work for me, so I'm down.
Yeah, but you are going to do something for the people still.
Okay, I'm interested.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
Yeah, so
kicking off this week though, want to talk a little bit about our past again. This funny story that your dad did to me in high school. Do you want to share with the prom night?
Yeah, let's I'll set the scene and then you can take it from your experience.
Can we talk can part of the scene being set be how you were too cool to go to prom at all?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. So was this junior or senior year?
This was junior year.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So I had met a fellow musician at summer camp and
at band camp.
Yes. And he lived in LA. And so we were dating and I was so over Maine at that point. I had been out to California a few times and I was like,
seen the world.
So boring. So I didn't want to go to prom. I was going to prom in LA. Like, I'm not going to Maine prom.
Honestly, though, like no one in high school would have blamed you.
I know, but like now looking back, I'm like, I could have gone with my friends.
Exactly. Like,
you know how it is in high school. Everything's so dramatic.
Yeah, just everything means something.
Oh, yeah. So it was a statement. And I remember getting like bullied by people, not bullied, but like there was
peer pressure.
Yeah, there were a couple of people that worked on the prom committee that were like, this is going to be the best night of your life. How could you miss it?
Better not be.
I know. Yeah. I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely not going now.
Yeah, don't want to set the bar too high.
Yeah. So anyway, I ended up going out to dinner with my parents the night of prom.
At the same restaurant me and my prom party are going to.
Yeah.
What are the odds,
Yeah,
right?
that was weird.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so we see you guys, we say hi, we're sitting down to eat, and you take it from here.
Yeah, so I just had to go to the bathroom. Like I was nervous. I was with a date, so I go to the bathroom. I'm all dressed up in fancy clothing that I don't know how to wear. So I'm taking my time. And then I'm in the bathroom and I'm alone and someone comes in and they start being weird and asking like if anyone's in there. And it was just odd. Like they were banging around a little bit. And so I picked my feet up so that no one could tell that I was in the stalls. And I think that this person like even checked the stall next to me and was just being like, Ty, you in here? And it was just so off-putting and spooky. I thought I was a stalker that had followed me.
Yeah.
And getting back to the table, you can follow up with who it was.
Yeah, so that was my dad. My dad he's always been a little bit of a prankster, and he thought it would be funny to try to spook you. I think he didn't think that you were gonna get like freaked out.
So scared because I was so undressed at that point.
Yeah.
That like I could not exit.
It's a little invasive. I mean, also it would have been funny if he was wrong and that was somebody else.
That would have been a way better story.
Yeah.
That would have been so funny. But yeah, anyways, Ash's dad pranked me right before prom and I ended up sweating through my undershirt.
Did you find out that night?
No, I did not.
God.
Because I went back to my table and why would I ever think to go talk to you about it?
And my dad didn't really bring it up to me, or if he did, it was like very offhand. So I probably like didn't want to bother you with that.
I went back to my table being like, there's a pervert in this restaurant. And I know it because he tried to find me in the bathroom. And I remember my table was like, what the hell just happened? And we left pretty shortly thereafter. And then you told me like maybe, was it 2 days later that
like
next
at
Monday?
School, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, my dad said he was like pranking you in the bathroom.
And I just remember sitting there and just being like, I had a panic attack in a tuxedo. Like,
yeah, that checks out from my dad. Like he's always played weird pranks, and I'm sorry.
No, it's so funny now. It's so funny now.
It is funny. It's also funny that he must have disguised his voice.
He did. Him. That's the thing, because there's like hearing it even now, all these years later, the memory in my head, it's not your dad's voice.
Oh my God.
He was just kicking around like he was just like someone looking for me. Like, and I'm dressed like James Bond wannabe, and instead of like becoming the secret agent and like dealing with the situation, I picked my feet up so he couldn't tell which stall I was in.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, how was the rest of prom?
LA would have been better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun. And prom in Malibu.
Prom for us was in a former bank that is now in Urban Outfitters. So it really wasn't happening. So people on the prom committee that tried to convince you to go.
Yeah, what was the name of that place? I was trying to remember what it was. The Pavilion.
The Pavilion, yes.
Yeah.
Because the vault was for the VIP only people. And we get to dance in there on prom night.
The vault is now on the Urban Outfitters sale room.
That's right.
You can go get your discounted jeans.
Clearances in the vault, which is ironic.
Yeah. It's like the opposite energy.
It is. It is.
Okay, well, let's jump into the forecast for this week. We got a lot of weird things planned today, so this is the one thing that we're anchored in. This is
let's get to it. I want to see what you have ready for me.
Okay, so Tuesday, August 27th, we have Venus trining Uranus at 3:23 a.m. Eastern Time. Venus is currently at 27 degrees of Virgo, and it is trining over to Uranus at 27 degrees of Taurus. So they're both in earth signs, which means compatible, harmonious energies. This is introducing some fun, some surprises, spontaneous energy into relationships. We might feel more like just kind of randomly meeting up with friends this day, wanting to try something new. Maybe, and if you have plans to go to a restaurant, being like, actually, let's try this new place that just opened up, and it turns out to be awesome.
Ash's dad's going to be there.
Yeah.
He's coming for you in the bathroom.
Well, that's less awesome. But if you know it's him,
so that's not this energy?
Yeah, if you know it's him, then maybe it's funny, and then it's a delight. But yeah, no, less of like I'm possibly going to die in the bathroom at this restaurant.
Yeah, that's Admiral energy.
So yeah, this is more about like fun surprises and just kind of like playful random happenings. You could run into somebody you haven't seen in a while. It could turn out to be exciting, or you could have some random creative stuff coming in through that Venusian energy as well.
I'm pumped about that.
Yeah, this is a cool day. August 27th looks fun. And I got some good news for you all. On Wednesday, August 28th, Mercury retrograde ends.
Oh, it's moving back forward speed.
Yes, exactly. Awesome. Mercury and forward.
So does it move back to Virgo now?
Not right away. It will eventually. So it has to retrace its steps. So it's back at 21 degrees of Leo. So there's technically 29 degrees in a single sign, or 30 if you count the zero. So yeah, there's 30 degrees in a single sign. So it has to move its way back through the last 9 degrees of Leo. It'll be back in Leo on September 9th. I mean, in Virgo on September 9th. Gotcha. But so it's stationed direct at 5:13 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday the 28th. Which means that a lot of the issues surrounding misunderstandings, not being seen for who you are, that's going to kind of clear up. You might find that some of the technological issues are also clearing up as well.
I'd be super interested to see if people leave comments on this episode of noticing that it's ended.
Yeah, tell us if you've noticed, if things smooth out, if somebody comes back around and is like, oh, I finally I understand what you were saying the other day. I didn't get it then, but that type of thing might be happening. Or, maybe something that was weird with your phone suddenly works itself out.
Thank God.
Yeah, right.
Don't buy new tech during August.
Yeah.
Wait until this Mercury retrograde.
Yeah,
ends.
between August 5th and August 28th, don't do it, but then go wild the last few days of August. On Thursday, August 29th, this is a very Venus-heavy day. Actually, the 28th and the 29th. I'm kind of going to lump these all into kind of one topic just because we'd be here for a while.
I'll allow it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. On August 28th, Venus is opposing Neptune at 4:24 p.m., so that's Wednesday. And I'm going to name all these, and then we're kind of going to talk about the energy as a whole.
Okay.
Then the next day, on Thursday, the 29th, Venus is moving into Libra at 9:22 a.m. And then an hour later, it's going to trine Pluto at 10:32 a.m. So let's talk a little bit about the transit. So Venus opposing Neptune on Wednesday, that could definitely make us feel a little head in the clouds, overly idealistic. We might be a little spaced out. We could find that we are not really fully present in conversations. We're just kind of daydreamy, drifty. We could find it really hard to relate to other people, but we're also feeling super compassionate. It's just a very heart-centered kind of whimsical energy. So it's a little hard to put into words, but it's definitely really difficult dealing with conflict, really difficult dealing with strategic, any kind of planning. Like it can just be like very loose and weird.
So very heart over head.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like kind of getting into it while I'm talking about it. I'm kind of like feeling the energy. Then the next day when Venus trines Pluto, that's really great for more decisive energy. So if you're kind of like on the fence about like a decision relating to like a relationship, probably wait till Thursday to make that when Venus moves into Libra. That
Okay.
will be a little bit clearer. I feel like there could be a lot of like overlooking certain details that's happening on Wednesday.
And so in Libra, that's kind of like balancing your choices, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because Venus is the natural ruler of Libra. So it's at home here. It's really strong in Libra. And it's going to be here until September 22nd. So we've got, a little over 3 weeks of Venus in Libra. And this is a really nice and pleasant aspect. It's really good for mediating, balancing, harmonious relationships, and also just really having an attention to like art and beauty, noticing beautiful things.
Very cool.
Really great. People with Venus and Libra tend to be like collectors. They like to collect different like beautiful objects. So I tend to find that when Venus is in Libra, it's like really a good time to add to your collection. Like you might find the thing you need.
Sick. That's really cool.
Then Sunday, September 1st, we have 2 big things happening. Okay. So the first is Uranus retrograde beginning at 11:17 a.m. and it's at 27 degrees Taurus. It's going to be like this till January. So
it's a long one.
Yeah. Uranus is one that lasts for a while. And Uranus retrograde can make us maybe a little bit less likely to jump forward. We might be more, so Uranus is all about like change and kind of shaking things up, shaking up stagnation. So new developments, new innovations. When it's retrograde, a lot of that is kind of going on below the surface. So it's better for brainstorming, for kind of like doing all of that tinkering work more like on your own. Because sometimes like when you're trying to assert change during Uranus retrograde, it's like, we're not going to really do that right now.
Okay.
It's kind of like change can happen, but it's like, it's harder to almost access that.
But that's like 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's more about kind of like playing with that energy before you like just jump into it.
Okay. So more planful decisions?
A little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I feel like that's kind of a big theme we've been experiencing over the last couple months. It's more about like planning and just in general being more intentional. with our
Intentional.
actions.
Yeah. I think so too. That's what I've been hearing from you.
So, okay, the biggest one that's happening, this is a really big deal. On Sunday, September 1st, Pluto is re-entering Capricorn in its retrograde until November 19th. And this is the last time Pluto's going to be in Capricorn for like over 130 years.
Oh,
So this is the last, so Pluto has been in Capricorn. It was from 2008 until earlier this year. And it dipped into Aquarius. We've had it in Aquarius for the last several months, and it will be retrograding back into Capricorn for a couple months. And then it will be solidly in Aquarius till 2043.
that's crazy.
Yeah. So
Is that the age of Aquarius? Pluto entering Aquarius?
that's what I think it is.
That's cool.
But unfortunately, first we've got to, I don't want to say deal with, because there are some cool things with this transit, but there's a lot of, okay, so at 8:08 p.m. on Sunday, September 1st, it's moving back in. And there's a lot of focus on transforming, and like Pluto in Aquarius is so rebellious. It's all about kind of like overthrowing the traditional way of doing things a different way, and having like technological advancements. There's a lot of new energy coming in. So I think that over the next 20 years, we're going to see obviously a lot of technology changes, but also a lot of dramatic shifts in terms of leadership, more of like a rebellious and humanitarian focused energy coming in.
Okay.
Whereas Pluto in Capricorn is more about like building lasting structures. It's more traditional, more foundation based, and more about kind of keeping like certain, like these are the people that have the money. These are the people that have, the power. So it's more about like having these structures, whereas Pluto in Aquarius is like that. It's a little bit like that last week when we talked about the French Revolution. It's like, let's put the power in the hands of the people. Whereas Pluto in Capricorn is like, no, it has to kind of be with these specific leaders. So we're kind of seeing that just for 2 months, which is weird because it kind of aligns with election season.
Yeah, that's weird.
And then it goes back like right after the election.
To Aquarius?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Gonna keep my eye on that. Well, we'll be doing the podcast, so you'll be teaching me what's going on along
exactly.
the lines.
It's interesting, and I think that this is a good time to kind of wrap up some lessons regarding like tradition. Like, what traditions do we want to keep? This is a good question to ask over the next 2 months. And you can think about it in your personal life too. What are some traditions that have value to you and that are actually enriching your life rather than something you do out of fear or out of
the traditions that hold you down, hold you back.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a good meditation for the next few months.
That's wild, though.
Yeah.
Like, this is something I'm definitely going to keep my eye on.
Yeah,
It's
this
so
is a big
interesting.
one. This is one of the big transits for the year. So we have that going on.
Or
this
like
week.
the lifetime when you think about it.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, yeah, Pluto is going to be in Aquarius. Like, this is the last time we're in our lifetime we'll ever see Pluto in Capricorn.
we're going to be on like, before it makes its next transit, we'll be like season 27 of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that you're that optimistic. I want that too.
We're going forward.
We're
It's going to
going.
be wild.
It's what was it? Podcasts and dirt. Like that's podcast writing and dirt.
That's it.
Soil.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I love
That's
it.
what I
Let's
want.
put it out there. Okay. So that's what I've got for you for the forecast. And I was thinking that I loved that little rune reading you gave me for my birthday a few episodes ago. So
Okay.
I was thinking maybe you could do a little rune reading for the people for the next month.
Oh, I can do that.
Yeah, for
September.
For September.
Okay,
yeah.
let's do that.
We might not do
Do you
this
want to act as September then?
Yeah, I'll be September.
Okay.
Let me meditate on September.
Yeah, take it. I'll talk through while you're meditating so that there's not just blankness on the podcast. But what I like people to do with the runes is to focus on their intent and what you want to learn out of it and kind of throw that energy into the cards while you're shuffling them. Mix them all around too, Ash. So like, you know.
Oh yeah, I'm not.
They
I
don't
didn't
need,
really do that last time.
they don't need to be all right side up or whatnot, but we're trying to figure out what September energy we have coming our way. We're cheering on Pluto. Definitely cheering on Chiron, whatever he's doing in September here.
Just retrograding through Aries.
He's retrograding through Aries too.
Everyone's retrograde right now. We're in like deep retrograde season right now. But Mercury's out or will be.
So Mercury is leading the pack and going to jump out of retrograde as fast as possible. But we got to rescue our boy Chiron.
Yes.
That wounded healer doesn't need to be moving in reverse.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of like child healing, like inner child work now, and then we got to kind of push it out into the world. When
need
Chiron
that.
stations direct, we can kind of push that more out into the world. We can integrate.
I need that.
Let's integrate.
So, are there 4 weeks in September?
Let's look at a calendar here. I'm gonna pull.
Yeah,
one up.
I don't know why I don't have that on the top of my head.
That's okay. I mean, are we counting like what day of the week are we counting? Let's see. September. Yeah, there's 4 full weeks and then there's like 2 extra days.
Okay, so we're gonna ignore the 2 extra days, but let's, like you do, throughout the week. Let's do throughout the month. So grab 1 card per day per week.
Okay.
So this will be the first week of September.
Yeah, which side do you
Either
want?
one, I'll remember. Second week of September is going down now. Third week of September. Oh, she changed her mind. Switch the card.
Okay.
4th week of September. So let's go through what the runes think of September, and then I'll pull it all together for September as a whole.
Sounds
So
good.
the first week of September, we have Uranus, the rune of the ox. So this is the wild ox rune, which means that for the first week of September, there's a risk and reward element out there for people. You work really, really hard. You're going to be offered this situation to earn back, I don't want to say like money from it, but basically some type of reward for your trouble. However, with the risk reward factor, the part of the challenge that's coming in for the first part of the week in September would be recognizing the challenge at all. Urox is not facing anyone with a challenge that they have to surmount, but more so the choice of whether or not they want to go on this journey. So look for that in your life of whether or not you want to take on something that might be too much for you. Again, these are really direct divination system where it's not like, a flowery oracle card being like, oh, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. This is literally telling you that you might be faced with something that's too much for you right now, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So the
You get the
visualization that I give people here with Urox is like if you were, a Viking that left their home in the morning and you see that grand ox on top of the hill. If you went and you wanted to fight it, you could gain food for your family, pelt, for your family, which means warmth in the cold winter nights, and also renown around your peers that you took down the great ox. However, it could also mean that while trying to accomplish those things, you get gored.
Yeah.
So again, this is really for everyone to look at what challenges are in your life the first week of September, and what should you let slip by you, and what should you attack to try to get that reward from it. Second, this is Algaes. It's the rune of protection, but it's in Merkstov, so it's in reverse. So this is one of my favorite runes to have. I have a piece of jewelry that has it on it, and I like putting it places, just marking it where I think there needs to be protection. It's basically thinking of like a shield, like a universal shield to I bounce back the cosmic crap that comes your way, basically.
Love that.
However, it's in Merkstov. So for the second week of September, I would say be wary of Ash's forecast next week. When you provide advice to people on what's going on the next episode of the podcast, people should truly listen to it, because with the protection room being in Merkstov, that means that we as listeners, as a society, are probably going to be more open to the cosmic tomfoolery that's going around.
Yeah, more sensitive to energy.
More sensitive to energy, which is great for learning, but not great for existing, right?
Yeah.
So if you're constantly have your shield down, you're going to be too worn out and too battle beaten to ever move forward with whatever reward you might have gotten from the first week. However, we learn fastest while we're struggling and while we're uncomfortable. So there's definitely a dichotomy to look at on the second week are what are the lessons that you're learning, and understanding that while you're learning these lessons, you might not have the natural protection that you're used to, and things might be hitting you a little bit harder than you might want. The lessons might be coming in hard.
Yeah. Okay.
Third week, we have Dagas, which is a great rune. You can tell that it is in Merkstov as well. However, it is one of the irreversible runes, so we don't need to worry about that at all. So Dagas is the rune of daybreak, and it's the rune of new beginnings. So for the third week in September, you'll probably be seeing some transformations going on, and that's probably a great source of transformations.
Yeah. Lines up with the equinox too.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So it's new start for the planet too. It's a new chapter.
Yep.
This isn't like a life-changing moment though, where everything is turned on its heels and you're a new person. But this is definitely like turning the page of a book for most people. So if the energy of the summer has been too much for you, I would probably say third week of September, you'll probably feel the energies allowing you to try something new and to move in a different direction. Which is probably what you're going to want to do after coming off of a protection-less week the week before.
Yep.
And the final week or final week of the month is Thurizaz, which is right side up. This is often referred to as Loki's rune. It is the rune of thorns. It's a bummer. But so for the last week of September, we're going to get small cuts on us. And so that's metaphorically to say things probably aren't going to move the way that you expect them to for the last week of September. Mm-hmm. However, what can we learn from that? So if you were to pick a flower that, from a rose bush that's covered in thorns and you get cuts all over yourself, you still get the beautiful flower out of it, but it provides you with an opportunity to learn and look forward to be like, next time I want that flower, I shall wear gloves.
Yeah.
I'll be more prepared next time. Or you could take the less beneficial track of that and do the, oh, woe is me. I've cut myself. I hate roses. We'll never do it again.
We're ripping up the rose bush.
Right, exactly. And so many people go that way that it's important to call that out. But that, unfortunately, is more like what the rune leads people to is it's a malefic rune. However, from the bad stuff that happens to us, we can learn and have those positive moments instead. So that's kind of it's one of my favorite runes to look at for that reason, because when it comes up and I'm doing a reading for a client or for myself and I see it literally just tells me that I need to pay more attention and reframe my focus.
Cool. I like that. All right.
So for all of September, I would say challenges are coming your way. You can rise to them or let them pass by, but know that there's going to be like a lot of possible struggle and learning to be done. And how that affects you is your own mental attitude towards it.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, that's good. That's a good lesson in general for life. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So September is going to be a lot.
Yeah. We'll have to check back in and be like, yeah.
Yeah. Debrief October 1st and see how this went for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So we're doing something a little different today.
Yeah. You've got the focus of the topic now.
I do. So, okay. So I wanted to, last week, you had given me King Louis XVI's birth chart, and we also looked at his death chart.
Right, which coincided with the French Revolution.
Yeah. So that got me thinking, like we didn't look at his specific death chart, but we looked at the day. But you can look at somebody's death chart. You can look at the transits that were hitting them at the time that they die, if you know what time they died and what time they were born.
Okay.
So I thought it would be interesting to focus, instead of having like a specific theme, this would be more of like an astrological learning episode where we would kind of look at a famous person's chart at the time of their death and kind of see what we could learn from that. And
super interested.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not going to tell you the info. I will reveal it afterward, and because I'm afraid that the date might set you off and have you know, just because we were alive when this happened. Okay, so this person is a Cancer sun, and they have their ascendant in Sagittarius, and their moon is in Aquarius.
So they're born sometime in June?
July.
July is Cancer. Okay.
Well, late June is also Cancer, but they're a July Cancer. So we are looking at their, this is at the approximate moment that they left this earth. So the inner wheel is the way that the sky was formulated when they were born. And then the outer wheel is where the planets were when they left the earth.
Oh, sick.
So we're seeing, oh, this is when you enter, this is when you leave. And, you know, I don't think that there's any way, like there are people that might say that this is wrong, but I don't know that we can necessarily use this to like predict death, but we can see maybe the energies that were active when this person left the world. Like for instance, last week when we looked at King Louis, we could see that there was a lot of tumultuous revolutionary energy happening the day he died. Mm-hmm. And so we could be like, okay, the people wanted justice. They wanted, you know, so we wouldn't necessarily
were set up perfectly for that organized chaos from what you were talking about.
Right, exactly. So that, you know, if we were looking at that day when he was like a small child, we wouldn't necessarily been like, oh, he's going to die this day, but we would have been like, wow, that's going to be a wild day in his life. And so we can kind of see what the energies were like. Sometimes, you know, when somebody leaves the world, it's relatively peaceful. Sometimes it's very tumultuous and unexpected. So this particular one was more unexpected. So that's why
that's why you have the date probably.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I chose it. So
not the date, the time.
Yeah, exactly. So the sun and Mercury were conjunct this person's natal Pluto in the 10th house when they passed away. So the sun and Mercury were conjunct in the sky, and they were right in the same place that this person's Pluto was when they were born.
Okay.
And it was in the 10th house, which means this is a public thing. People are going to know about this. It's going to be talked about, this particular passage from this world. I'm trying to be very respectful in this speech because
you're doing a great job.
Okay, I'm trying. Yeah. So, this people are going to know about it. It's going to be talked about. Sun and Mercury conjunction. There's like a suddenness to it. There's a sudden energy of like almost just like transferring worlds. It's kind of what it feels like. It was just like very quick. It feels like it was quick. And it also feels like it was very well known and very talked about, which is absolutely true. And we're going to
afterwards, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Chiron is opposing everything that I just talked about.
Because he's the healer.
Yeah. So Chiron is kind of sending a lot of like stress this way. So there's a lot of energy of needing to heal from something. There's definitely stress that this person maybe was under that was causing potential sudden decisions, or maybe just some feeling of needing to kind of work through something karmically.
Okay.
Chiron in the sky was also at the 29th degree and was squaring this person's natal Saturn.
Okay.
So 29th degree is the energetic degree. It's going to make anything way more potent. Having transiting Chiron at 29th degree there would be more likelihood of accidents, more likelihood of like just maybe bodily issues and just needing to be really aware of your body and just being really like tuned into it. So like, let's say somebody's drinking too much. Let's say they're doing things like that. They might be out of touch with that like signal, which could make it more prone to have accidents.
When Chiron moves from 29th degree to 30 degree, does it calm everything down and things start over?
So yeah, because it moves, there's no 30 degrees. So it moves from 29 to 0 of the next sign.
Okay, so it is starting
So
over.
it resets.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the last one of that. So Chiron was, where was it? It was at 29 degrees of Libra. So this is like a relationship thing too. There's like maybe like couples involved, which there were.
Okay.
Okay, so then it's squaring over to Saturn. There's stress coming from like, with this, there could have been stress coming from like an authority figure. It could have felt like somebody was like telling this person what to do, how to live their life.
It's crazy being on this side of the mystery reveal because my head is spinning. So this must be what you feel when I'm teasing it all out to you every week.
Yeah,
Trying to figure out who it is before.
I know, and then I'm just reading the chart, and like I have the advantage now of knowing who this is as I'm reading this chart. Yeah, like I don't know. It might be difficult to do a death chart for somebody if you don't know who they are, but at the same time, it's definitely possible. We're just reading the energy, really. Transiting Pluto in the sky, like at the time this person died, was squaring their natal Mars too, which is definitely going to make for like sudden impulsive decisions that could be potentially violent.
Okay.
Or potentially.
Oof, I don't like where this is going.
No,
It sounds rough.
Yeah, but it was, I mean, again, like this could have all culminated and been like, oh, this person was in an accident. Like there's no thing in the astrology chart that can be like, oh, this is definitely when this person is like destined to die. Like I don't believe in that. I just believe that there are windows where maybe the cosmic soup is like creating like an option.
An option.
Or not an option because that makes it sound like they're choosing it, but like, like an energetic like possible door opening.
It's more advantageous that an accident would happen based on
like you'd have
happening.
to, and it's not to say it couldn't be avoided. It's just that it requires an awful lot of focus and intention, which maybe with everything going on in this person's life at the time, it was out of their hands.
Yep. I see.
So, okay. So do you have any idea who I'm talking about?
I have no idea.
What if I tell you the date?
You could try. I'm so bad at dates.
It's okay.
I'm not like you.
Okay.
Where you're pulling them out of nowhere.
So this person left this earth August 31st, 1997.
1997.
At 4 a.m. in Paris, France.
Paris, France, August.
And had the most televised funeral in...
Is this Princess Diana?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, I did it.
You did it. Yeah. Good work.
Ooh, but there's a lot to go on with that. Like there's conspiracy theories.
Yep. I'm going to explore some of that with you. So Princess Diana, who was born Diana Frances Spencer, she was born on July 1st, 1961. So she was a Cancer. She was the daughter of Viscount and Viscountess Althorpe. So she was basically born into like the adjacent British royal family. Her family for generations was tied in with them. Her grandmother was actually Queen Elizabeth's lady in waiting.
Oh, really?
So, yeah,
I had no idea.
Yeah, so she was just kind of like on the, she was technically in the royal family. At age 14, she became known as Lady Diana when her father inherited the title of Earl Spencer.
That's crazy because all my life I've been told that she was like the commoner princess, and it's like...
And she was like to an extent, like she wasn't like in the like royal court, but she was adjacent to it.
But it's not like the whole like Meghan Markle stuff now,
she wasn't.
Which is what they made it seem like back then.
Oh, back then, yeah, it was like in the 80s when she became the princess, it was like a huge
thing.
Thing.
Come on, royal family. Like
I know,
she's right there.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Okay.
She's like the girl next door.
She is the girl next. Maybe that's why they're just like, oh no.
So after she completed school, she had many different jobs. She worked as a nanny. She took cooking courses. She served as a dance instructor. She cleaned houses, and she was also a preschool teaching assistant. So
so she's a person of the people, even though she's
people's princess.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then in 1980, she began dating Prince Charles. They married in July 1981. When she was 20, he was 32. She then became the Princess of Wales after this marriage. The couple had 2 children, William and Harry, in 1982 and 1984. She was really known for being very independent in terms of her like approach to motherhood. She chose what schools her kids went to. She dismissed the royal nanny that had been there. She personally took them to all their appointments, which was unheard of at the time. Like, she was very hands-on with them.
Or AKA great mom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the 80s and 90s, she was deeply involved in charity work. That's one of the things she's like most known for. She regularly visited terminally ill patients and supported charities for youth, the elderly, homeless, those struggling with addiction, cancer, AIDS, and leprosy. And actually, she was one of the very first public figures to work with AIDS patients and helping to destigmatize the disease by holding hands and hugging them and like letting people know it was okay to do those
What
things.
a saint.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like, a lot of people were really like scared about like
the stigma
catching
of it.
it
Yeah.
or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In 1994, she co-founded the charity Child Bereavement UK, which supports children whose parents are terminally ill or who have died by suicide or military service. By 1986, Diana and Charles were growing apart. There was a massive age difference between them. There were extramarital affairs on both sides. And,
on both sides.
Yeah. And Diana was struggling with her mental health, and she was just unhappy in the marriage. So she was finally granted a divorce in August 1996, even though they had basically been estranged for a decade.
Okay. It takes that long because probably the systems.
Yeah, the systems. I mean, the royal family, that was like unheard of.
For real.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You just behead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So in the summer of 1997, Diana began dating an Egyptian film producer named Dodi Fayed. I hope I'm saying that right. The couple had actually planned a trip to Thailand in August 1997, but then plans changed at the last minute. And they decided to visit Dodi's family in southern France instead.
Oh, no.
So we're seeing kind of like the unexpected energy from that chart
that
led
you're
to that. Like, they were supposed to be somewhere else.
It's creepy because you read the chart to me first, and I'm seeing the chess pieces now lining up.
Yeah,
as
unfortunately.
You're dropping the dates leading up to September.
So on August 31st, 1997, they were driving outside of his family's compound, and they were being pursued by paparazzi. So it was Diana, her boyfriend Dodi, their driver Henri Paul, and bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones were in the car. And they sped into the Pont de la Alma tunnel in Paris to get away from the paparazzi that were hounding them, because the paparazzi were really after Diana, especially as a divorced woman. She had dated a couple people since her divorce, and there was just a lot of like tabloid stuff.
Nowhere to escape.
Yeah, so they were really, I mean, and they didn't think that in this place that would be happening. And so they went into the tunnel really quickly, and there was a crash. The crash killed Diana, Dodi, and Henri, the driver, while the bodyguard survived, but he had serious injuries. And Diana's death shocked the world. Her funeral was on September 6, 1997, which was 6 days later, and it was watched by almost 2 billion people globally.
So even more than the moon landing.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. This was like the most publicized television event since the moon landing.
Do you remember it being on?
Oh, yeah, I remember. I remember that. I remember like the Elton John like retelling of Candle in the Wind.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember the Beanie Baby that they put out for
I
her.
remember that too.
Yeah, it was a huge deal.
I remember coming down the stairs of 1997.
Yeah, it was August 1997.
So we would have been 10.
Yeah.
And you were newly 10.
Yeah.
I remember coming down the stairs in the morning and like the TV being on and just so loud, and there was just like chaos, and I'm not really understanding what was happening or why.
Well, we're not British, but we
it's still big.
Yeah,
right?
It's still
and
big.
Why my mom's, upset about it. And again, it's like hearing what you said about like Princess Diana, it's like, obviously it's a hero died.
Yeah, exactly. Like, she was obviously like an icon for many reasons, but like, clearly like the most lasting legacy was her like charity work and the work she did with individuals. Like, she went to visit these terminally ill patients every week of her life. Like, she never missed it, And after her death, which was very sudden, it was like, within like an hour, like she was pronounced dead. Basically, it was like very, very sudden. And obviously you can see kind of like the pursuit of like this old lifestyle that she was trying to almost leave behind. That was like that Saturn influence kind of coming back around. And also conspiracy theories did emerge regarding the crash, with some claiming that Henri Paul, the driver, was intoxicated, which Dodi Fayed's father later came forward and alleged that the crash was planned, and he implicated the Duke of Edinburgh. However, they did do an inquest in 2008, and it attributed the crash to reckless driving by Paul and the pursuing paparazzi. So, yeah, there wasn't really a conspiracy there, but
You're glad there's not, but still tragic.
It is. Yeah, it's just unfortunate. And I think there were some laws that were actually formed around paparazzi after this event in terms of like how they're like.
Good. They're just so unnecessary. Like,
oh my gosh, like I can't even imagine. I see clips of celebrities yelling at them and they're like, I can't believe how rude they were. And it's like, if you were followed all day, you'd probably be rude too. Like I would be.
Right. Like we started this episode off talking about how your dad followed me in a bathroom.
Exactly.
It terrified me that night.
Right.
Imagine
and
if
like
someone was trying to get a picture of me,
yeah, exactly. And like you were trying to flee like in a place that is already like got curvy winding roads. Like you never know what could happen.
Right.
It wasn't anyone's fault. It was, well, the paparazzi, we can say
it was their fault. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like you're just seeing like this kind of tense aspects in the sky, and also just there were tense aspects that day, but they were also impacting her natal chart in a way that was unique to her.
God.
So that I just kind of wanted to show, I was interested in how you did that sort of in presenting both of those charts or having me present those charts last week and just kind of playing on that idea a little more and just kind of showing that.
I think you did it in such a respectful way. I want to call that out.
Yeah.
So, but thank you for reversing the roles here for a bit. That was wild to see how a death chart aligned and created, I guess, the variables that could maybe not cause this, but allow a tragedy to happen more easily. But also the connection that you drew between like the natal chart and the death chart, the strings make everything so fragile.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what I took away from it is like you called out, this is opposing the natal Pluto or this is opposing that. And it's like, oh, damn, like that's specific.
Yeah, that's why. So a lot of the time, you might hear the transits for the week and you might be like, oh, sometimes they hit for me and sometimes they don't. The ones that hit might be also interacting with your birth chart specifically.
Fascinating.
Like that's why not everyone is going to have the exact same day. We all have different energetic blueprints that are formed when we come into this world. And the way that the energy is shifting every day is going to interact with our personal energy in a different way.
Imagine if you had your own personal astrologist that could take your natal birth chart and give you your personal forecast every day to be like, this is what's happening every day of your life or whatever. Avoid fast food. Like today's not the day to try dairy.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't offer the everyday service, but you can get like the next few months of your life mapped out.
That's fantastic that you do it. You gave me my natal chart and reading through that. And I remember it was back when you were very early in this too.
Yeah.
When you did my natal chart.
Might be able to do it better now.
I would totally welcome it because you did it so well back then. I remember specifically it was 14 pages long. And it had information in there that you were just like, hey, this doesn't really sound like you, but I'm learning. And I remember reading it and being like, no, this sounds like me. This is the stuff I don't tell people.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So it was crazy. Highly recommend. And hearing the death chart that you just gave too, like, I don't know. This was a cool episode.
Okay.
For me.
I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I just wanted to try something different. Hopefully everyone, liked it. And there was a little conspiracy in there. So, for people who like the more kind of mysterious elements of the show.
Oh, that totally hits because I knew the conspiracy before I knew anything about Princess Diana's life.
Yeah.
So yeah, totally.
Yep. All right. Well, that was fun. Next week, we'll get back to the regular kind of what is it? Like the regularly scheduled
program.
Yeah. But that's it.
Literally what it is. Yeah.
But yeah, if you like this, let us know. Maybe we can do it again sometime.
That card just fell out.
All right. What is it?
That is Issa. So it's saying, hold steady. Let's keep doing what we're doing for a little while.
All right. We're going to do it. But cool. This was fun. And yeah, maybe we'll have some surprises later on.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. All right. Well, find us on Instagram, TikTok, Patreon. Patreon's a lot of fun.
Uncloudedeye.net.
Yeah, uncloudedeye.net for readings.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Have a great week, everyone.
Talk to you guys in September.
Unclouded Eye stars Ashley Brooks and Ty Gowan. It's produced and directed by Nick Nordfors. Music by Ashley Jane Cecilia and Jay Karen. Our community manager is Aaron Cross. Art by Dawn Aquarius. presented by Haunt Me. Follow Unclouded Eye at Unclouded Eye on Instagram and TikTok, or Unclouded_Eye on Patreon. Special shout out to Catherine Brooks and Allison Castillo for sponsoring the Patreon.
Hi, Allison.
And hi to my mom.
Wait, that's your mom? That is your mom. That's great.